I've been so excited about charting because I'm finding new connections and rhythms within my own body that I never would have drawn the correlations between if I wasn't tracking this sort of data. What's up, beautiful people? My name's Brittany, and today I'm going to be sharing about charting my cycle using the Fertility Awareness Method to track my menstrual cycle. I'm also going to be talking a little bit about products that I'm using and enjoying. I just did a video with my friend Chantel where we collaborated talking about loving your period and embracing it. And I wanted to follow it up quickly with this one, talking about how I track my cycle, because I made a video a couple months ago talking about going off of hormonal birth control and let you all know that I would be doing a follow-up. So since I was on the menstrual health flow, I figured I'd stick with the theme. So if you're feeling like this is a menstruation heavy week, yeah, I really get it. My videos are totally focused towards that, and just so you know, that's not the new focus of my channel. Those are probably going to be the 3 main videos I do on it. So if you're interested in other topics, feel free to stay tuned for new videos coming up. And if you're interested in this topic, I'm super excited for you to be here because there's so much I'm excited to share about this right now. If you're curious about going off of hormonal birth control, specifically how I went off of the Mirena IUD and transitioned there, feel free to check out my previous video. What I want to get into today is about the Fertility Awareness Method and tracking my cycle, what I've been doing for that recently. I have been charting actually since even before I went off of the IUD. I started charting because I was reading Taking Charge of Your Fertility and got super excited about charting my whole cycle and wanted to jump into it even though I knew that I wouldn't have a regular cycle. I actually think that's a great time to start charting so that you can see the differences. And I've been regular with charting ever since then. I think I started in January. And now it is, gosh, almost June. So I've been charting ever since, and I would say I've had 4 more normal cycles, or 4 cycles where I wasn't on any sort of artificial hormone. And so you can see what it looks like. This is what my charts look like. I like to chart manually, or I guess on like a physical form. You can also chart using an app. There is an app out there called Clue, which I think is definitely the best app I've seen if you're interested in charting using your phone or another device like that. I love my morning routine. I wake up, and before I do anything, before I elevate my body, I take my temperature. I keep my thermometer right next to my bed. And this is a Basal Body Thermometer. I think I just ordered it on Amazon, and it goes to the 100th degree. So it's more accurate than the thermometers that just go to the 10th degree. And what I like about this one is that it stores my temperature. It stores the last temperature you took. So a lot of times I'll take my temperature and then sort of like drift back off, and I can pick it up with me and take it to the other room to start charting when I actually elevate my body from the bed. And then I have it as part of my morning routine. To go out there, I've got my journal, and I keep the chart that I'm using folded right up in my most recent journal page, just like that. And so this is what my current chart looks like. And right there, right before I start journaling, I just chart my day's temperature. I chart if I had intercourse the day before. I make any signs about my cervical fluid the day before or that day. And then any other things. I like to track a lot of things on here. So I've customized this chart. I took a chart from takingchargeofyourfertility.com. They have some free charts on there, and then I customized one, and I have it for free on my website as well. And then you can customize your own from there. It's just through Excel. And I've added exercise and movement things. So I like to chart how many days I'm doing acro, handstand, stretching, other things like dancing, running, climbing. And then there's an area down here just for like other life things that are going on that are important. So for instance, Conor and I just ran a festival here in Austin over the last 4 days. So I have that on there because all these things affect our cycles. You know, like if somebody's in town visiting, if you're moving around a lot, if you are just feeling particularly stressed one day, if you didn't sleep very well at night, all that stuff's really important. So I like to chart that. And then sometimes I'll have other specific things I'm wanting to chart, like headache, cramps, bloating, gas. Another thing I'm charting is my sex drive and Conor's sex drive, because we found that we're sort of cycling together, which brings me to this blue dot. We just thought, hey, why don't we try charting Conor's temperature and see if we're cycling together, because we really feel like we are. So that's kind of like a fun experiment, and just all different ways that you can use a chart to give you more data on what's going on in your life and sort of see where different things are linking up. So this is giving me way more information than just where I'm at in my menstrual cycle, although it does that as well. Another thing I realized I want to mention is that I also am curious where I'm linking up with the lunar cycle, to see if I'm like bleeding on the full moon or the new moon or somewhere in between when I'm ovulating, all of that. So what is the Fertility Awareness Method all about? Well, it's just about that, understanding where you are in your menstrual cycle, where you are fertility-wise. You know, are you fertile right now? If you had intercourse that was unprotected, could you get pregnant? Do you want to be getting pregnant? Do you not want to be getting pregnant? It's a great tool for that, and just a great tool to know where you are in your body's natural cycle. And I've been so excited about charting because I'm finding new connections and rhythms within my own body that I never would have drawn the correlations between if I wasn't tracking this sort of data. And it is really simple. Basically, the two main signs that I'm checking every day are my body temperature, my waking body temperature in the morning, and then my cervical fluid. And then you can also check your cervix position. And that's another great third one to track as like an extra indicator. I'm not going to go into the specifics on how to track each of those things. I really, really recommend checking out the book, Taking Charge of Your Fertility. It's a thick read, but it's a super interesting read, and she weaves in really great anecdotal stories along the way. So it doesn't feel like it takes a long time. And even if you just read that main chapter about how to chart and how to understand your cycle, I feel like you can learn so much in like the matter of an hour. And there are other resources out there if you're more of a visual learner or an auditory learner. I haven't done a ton of research on them, but I do know that there's Femhead, who has a channel on YouTube that I've seen a couple of videos from, and it seems like she is on point. So that could be a resource you'd enjoy checking out. There are three main ways, I guess I'd say, that I'm really enjoying using the data that I'm gaining from charting my cycle right now. One of them is just this overall big picture of understanding more of the natural rhythms of my body. And that's really blowing my mind. I could do a dedicated like 2-hour video just on that. So I'm not going to dive in too much, but it has been really amazing to see. For example, like when I'm menstruating, I'm much more intuitive and inward. And when I'm just starting my fertile phase, I'm super horny and specifically noticing that I'm wanting to sexually connect with a variety of different people. It's like a primal urge to procreate in like the most diverse way. And there's other fun rhythms like that. I have untraditional relationships in my life, I guess you could say. So if you're interested in learning more specifically about how going off of hormonal birth control has affected my sex life, and specifically the one that I share with Conor McMillan, you can check out our joint channel where we share all about it in this video. And the third thing that has been so cool about tracking my cycle has been being able to monitor my body's recalibrating of my natural hormones. So I was on hormonal birth control for more than a decade. I think I calculated it's more close to 15 years. And I was on the Mirena IUD for about 5 years. Before that, I was on Yasmin and Yaz. So all hormonal birth control, even though the Mirena IUD did have a lower level of hormones. It still has a fake progesterone. I think it's actually called progesterone, I forget, but it's like a synthetic progesterone hormone that it produces So what happened over time for me is that my body stopped producing its own natural progesterone, or as much as it should be doing. And that has resulted in estrogen dominance within my body. And I've had that express itself in a variety of different ways. For example, my breasts have been like much more supple and large and tender over the last like almost up to 2 years at different points than ever before. And I'm starting to feel them even out and sync up more with their natural rhythm. And I've felt, it's hard to explain, but almost more of like an estrogen dominance in my like voluptuousness of my body, and almost an element that I can't quite explain. I feel like there's more estrogen in my body. And that might just be because I understand that better now, what's going on, that I'm projecting that. I'm not really sure. But I do know that I'm excited to see how my body's syncing up more with its natural rhythms. And I've been able to because I've been charting my cycle. So how I'm tracking that is, for example, this is my last month's cycle. And my progesterogenic phase, which is also called the luteal phase, it comes after the fertile phase. So after like post-ovulation was 8 days. And that was 1 day longer than the previous cycle, when I believe it was 7 days. So it's getting longer slowly. And I believe that a normal one is 12 to 14 days. So my body is still recalibrating and is starting to produce more progesterone. And that's so cool that that's actually a trackable thing, just by taking, you know, like 5 minutes a day to check these signs. It's also been super fun to be bleeding again, to be experiencing having a period after, for about 4 years on the Mirena IUD, not having my menstrual flow and not bleeding every month. The two items that I've been using when I am on my period are a menstrual cup, which I'll show you guys. I believe I had the Diva cup, and then I think I got rid of it at some point when I wasn't bleeding, and I ordered this one online. I can't remember which one it is, but it's very much similar to the Diva cup. And I also, just about 2 months ago, got these I think they're called Thinks period panties. So I actually officially own a pair of underwear now, which is super fun because I can bleed right into them. They have like this extra padding at the bottom that's absorbent, and it just sucks up all the blood. And I like this cut because generally one of the main reasons I want to be wearing these is when I'm doing acrobatics or handstands or something like that. During the first 2 days of my period, it can be pretty heavy, and I notice specifically if I go upside down, like I just do when I'm doing a handstand or a flip on somebody's feet, and then come back right side up, all the blood that maybe would have otherwise likely been caught within the menstrual cup will just come right out, and I'll literally like soak my pants. If that's TMI, I don't know what to tell you. I think it's important to share. It's also convenient that my acro pants are red, but this has been helping so much. And what I'll do then at night is just rinse them out and let them dry overnight. And I'll do the same thing with my acro pants. In terms of menstruation discomforts, I don't really have many, which is awesome. I do have that like little inconvenience of the blood, but in general, the first couple days of my period I'm finding are days that I like to be more inward anyway. So in general, I'm altering my days so that I can have a more relaxed inward day. I feel really intuitive. I usually feel like being alone and syncing up with myself. I have had little to no menstrual cramping, which has been amazing. I'll very rarely have like a dull ache on the first day, but I have noticed that how I'm feeling tends to directly correlate to 3 things, but mainly what I'm eating. I eat a mainly fruit-based diet. I eat like 1 or 2 fruit meals during the day, and then I usually have some leafy greens at night, some sort of a large, simple salad. And if I tend to have a lot of fat, more like overt fat in the days starting my period, or maybe even the day before, so something like a lot of avocado, then I'll notice I'm more likely to get cramps. Or if I have poor food combining, or just anything that would otherwise be like a little more challenging for my intestines to deal with, that tends to put pressure on that same area, like my uterus, and will cause cramping. So when I'm menstruating, and especially the days leading up to it and the first couple days of my period, feel like such a great time to be extra healthy and to be having really simple fruit or low-fat foods. It's also a great time, I've noticed, to stay really hydrated, but then I feel like every time is a really great time to stay very hydrated. Movement is another thing that feels super important for me. If I'm moving regularly, especially if I move like pretty vigorously in the days leading up to my period, and then vigorously to gently during my menstrual flow, I feel like really good. No cramps, things seem to be moving nicely. And the third thing is my mental and emotional health. If I'm feeling stressed out, then I definitely notice like more clenching in my gut and more cramped feelings. So it really feels like it caters to creating a nice, lovely, stress-free, spacious space for me to go within and really take care of myself. Guys, this is such a fun topic for me to talk about. Thank you for holding the space for me to share about this personal part of my life. If you have any questions about any of this, please feel free to post them down below. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you enjoyed, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Mwah! Bye.